Hey friends, welcome to or welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name's Kristen, and today I'm making a nail set inspired by the movie Saltburn. It's a pretty weird movie, which means these nails turn out really weird as well, but if that sounds like a good time to you, be sure to stick around till the end, and let's get started. So a lot of you have probably seen or at least heard of this movie, Saltburn. It came out in 2023. It was written and directed by Emerald Fennell, and I really didn't have a lot of interest in seeing it upon its release until I realized the director, Emerald, is the same writer-director as the movie Promising Young Woman. And oh my God, I am obsessed with Promising Young Woman. It's like one of my favorite movies. I think it's almost a perfect movie. And so I was like, okay, I have to watch Saltburn because I love this director. So I did. And I have to say, when I first watched it, I wasn't totally sure how I felt about it. But then I could not stop thinking about it. It was just on my mind all the time. And I just like felt like I needed to see it again. It was like, I felt like I was like craving it. It was like an addiction. I was like, I need to like get another hit of that Saltburn movie. And the movie itself is all about obsession, so maybe it's fitting that I became so obsessed with it. For some context, in case you haven't seen it, this movie is like a drama, thriller, satire. Satire meaning that there's a dark humor element to it. I didn't totally pick up on the humor my first go because I think I'm just not that familiar with these ultra wealthy old money stereotypes that they were exaggerating, but I definitely got it later. It's just like a world I'm not familiar with, but it's so interesting nonetheless. Let me try to do a synopsis of the movie. It's about this main character, Oliver Quick, played by Barry Keoghan, and he kind of weasels his way into the arms and hearts of this wealthy family and gets invited to stay there for the summer. And he is obsessed with his friend Felix, who is played by Jacob Elordi. Everyone freaking loves that guy. And yeah, so it's just kind of like a story about like love and friendship, obsession, desire, wealth, longing, and it's freaking good. It's very layered. There's a lot going on. Every scene looks like painting. There's so much visually happening. Anyway, I kind of think the director is a little bit of a genius, but I'm trying not to fangirl too much because I know some people really didn't like this movie. So yeah, this movie does have several what I would call like shock value scenes, and some people really don't like them. They are quite uncomfortable. I'm just one of those people who really likes to see things that I've never seen before. And if it gives me like a visceral reaction, if it grosses me out, if I'm just like bewildered at what I'm seeing, like I like that. I appreciate that, but I totally understand that this movie is not for everyone. And some of the scenes are going to be really uncomfortable, most notably the bathtub scene and the graveyard scene, I would say. But we're not even touching the graveyard scene in this video, but we are definitely going to dip our toes into the bathwater scene. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I was going to kind of try to tiptoe, like be tactful about how I talk about this bathtub scene, but like F it, I'm just gonna be blunt. So basically, we've got Oliver who is, very obsessed. There's this voyeuristic quality to the entire movie We could talk for a while just about that, but we're not going to. So anyway, Oliver is like peering in. He is watching Felix take a bath. Felix is playing with himself in the bathtub. And, after he like gets out of the bath and like starts draining the water, Oliver comes in the bathroom to like, I don't know, maybe brush his teeth or something. I don't quite remember. It's like this open kind of shared bathroom. And, you know, Felix leaves, and then Oliver is like, bathwater. And he gets in the tub, and if you know, he like kind of he literally slurps up the bathwater around the drain, and it's so uncomfortable. I think for most of us, because like my bathtub drain ain't clean like that one. But maybe if you're like rich, it wouldn't be so weird. Maybe that drain is getting cleaned a lot more regularly, but yeah, it's kind of a nasty scene of showing how like obsessed this character is, that he just wants to consume his friend in a way. Yeah, so anyway, the bathwater is a little milky, a little dirty looking, and in order to achieve that same look, I guess, I just added some like baking flour into the mineral oil, and it gave it like a cloudy look to it. And I was like, great, it looks like dirty bath water. Perfect. Yeah, great. Anyway, I find all of this so funny, me making a dirty bathwater nail, but I had an idea. We had to do it. But yeah, hopefully you can see the effect I was going for. Oh, and a couple of fun facts about that bathtub scene. It was partially improvised by the actor Barry Keoghan, and some of the slurping noises are his own, but they also used it was like a little octopus that they like slid around in oil, I guess. And I don't know why, but like knowing that makes that scene easier for me to watch because I'll just think about a cute little octopus slipping around instead. So maybe that'll help somebody else out there too. Something else about this bathwater that I find so amusing is how it really caught fire in the small business world, because there are now so many candles scented as Jacob Elordi's bathwater. It's kind of hilarious. Yeah, so candles, there's shirts, mugs, cocktails, just like so much random bathwater merch. Honestly, it's kind of amazing. What a time to be alive, you know? I just want to mention too that when I was designing this bathwater nail, I was trying to abstract it a bit. Like I didn't want to just sculpt a bathtub on a nail, you know? So I was just trying to like take the idea of it, but change it and abstract it and condense it down to a nail. But hopefully it still gives that vibe. So right now I'm just like making out of clay like the rim of the tub, which was kind of like a stained redwood in the film. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to talk about with regard to that scene. Maybe let's talk about Jacob Elordi for a second. I'm really unfamiliar with his work. Apparently he's in Euphoria, but that is so not my show, so I'm not going to watch it. And he was in the Priscilla movie too. I'm also really not interested in that. So, but damn, he was charming in this movie. And like, he is like one of those stereotypically like so handsome guys. And even though like I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be the heartthrob in Saltburn, there's something about Barry Keoghan that like I was just like swooning over him. And like, okay, let me back up a second. The first and only time I've ever seen Barry Keoghan in a movie is this film called A Killing of a Sacred Deer, and he plays a little unhinged weirdo. And never in a million years would I have ever expected to find him attractive, which is kind of like sad because obviously he's just like a really good actor. Because he said himself that he's kind of tired of being, referred to as like the weird looking guy kind of thing. And his charisma in this movie, I was just like, wow, okay, I have like a whole new like love for him for real. And I've seen interviews of him in real life, and he's also just so handsome. But anyway, here's our bathwater nail. I filled the sides with white clay to try to give it a tub look. And yeah, that's how it turned out. The water looks dirty. Excellent. I wouldn't drink it, but someone out there would. Maybe. No, I'm just fucking around. So, our next nail, the middle finger, is mostly inspired by the Midsummer Night's Dream themed party part of the movie. This part of the movie, like pretty much all the others, is just so visually beautiful. Midnight blues, sparkling lights, lots of costumes. So, yeah, really cool. Lots of literary references that kind of go over my head. But if you're one of those people that reads books, you will probably pick up on like a bunch of literary references as well. The only thing I really picked up on was Jacob Elordi's costume for that party reminded me of like Claire Danes' costume in that Romeo and Juliet movie from back in the day with Leonardo DiCaprio, if you know. Anyway. And to the party, Oliver is wearing horns as part of his costume. And there's lots of references to Oliver being different types of animals. And one of the more dangerous ones he's kind of subtly compared to is the Minotaur. There's a scene where there's a Minotaur statue like looming across the screen, and apparently that statue that they had made, they like used Barry Keoghan's body for it. So it's basically like his body with like the head of a bull. And I didn't go too deep into the Greek mythology of everything, but it is very obvious that Oliver is being likened to the Minotaur and that he kind of has this destructive hunger and really negative effect on this family. So, yeah, Oliver being compared to different animals is something I did want to touch on because I found it so interesting. And I really wanted to incorporate all these different animals into this nail set, but there was already way too much stuff going on. So, at one point, he's referred to as a snake, snaking his way into things. And there was one scene that I noticed that I felt like he was holding his body and kind of like moving in a very like snake like way. He's compared to a moth, drawn to shiny, bright things, maybe a bit too close, maybe too drawn to them. And then, of course, moths are known for kind of like eating through fabric, leaving holes everywhere. And Oliver certainly does leave holes, some sort of lasting holes in this family. And he's also referred to as a spider, kind of like, the whole weaving his web around. And I think there's a few other subtle references to spiders too. I think one of the dresses that Felix's sister's wearing is like shaped like a spider web. Oh, and back to the moth for a moment. At his midsummer birthday party, he's wearing a moth necklace as well. I didn't notice that. I heard it in an interview with the director, but I thought that that was super cool. And then there's also all the references to like a deer or a bull or a minotaur, kind of like, those posturing, um, what am I trying to say? A position of being in like a position of power, I guess, kind of like a dominant force. And speaking of the deer horns, that's what I'm trying to sculpt right now. And I had no freaking clue how to sculpt a deer horn, and I'm not very good at like 3D space. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm getting a lot better at it, but I have a friend who's really good at sculpting tiny things, and I was wishing she could make this for me, but we definitely got there. I was hoping this fleshy bone color would just translate well on its own, but I did end up painting it white. And then we're going to do like a matte coat over it later. But yeah, I felt like the white, even though it wasn't like super accurate to the actual movie, the white looked better on the nail set. So yeah, I'm gonna be real. I don't know how I'm gonna talk through a 30-minute video. The reason I always try to keep my videos between 10 and 20 minutes is because those are easier to talk through. I can manage a conversation for that long, but these long videos, my goodness. And usually I write a script when I'm doing something like this, but I did not do that this time. I am kind of just being more casual talking about this movie. Feel free to let me know if you have a preference over me being more casual versus it being like a video essay. I always appreciate feedback. But yeah, I hope you are all enjoying this video. I might have to put some music breaks here and there because I don't have like too much more to talk about with regard to the movie, but if you're like interested in it, I would recommend looking up some like deep dives, especially into like the literary stuff, the Greek mythology stuff. There's a lot of cool information about like the fashion used in the movie. Everything is very 2006, right after Jacob Elordi having like an eyebrow piercing, which I was like, that's dope. It reminded me so much of 2006. It was kind of insane. Maybe we can talk more about that after, but I'm about to get into an interesting part of the nail set where I decided I wanted to make a broken mirror charm and thought it would be fitting to use a real mirror, of course. I'd started trying to smash it with with a screwdriver and a hammer, but it wasn't really working, so I had to like pull off this backing. And now I'm gonna go in and try that again. Sorry, I'm like really off camera for this part, but I'm basically just like holding the screwdriver and banging it. Now I did put the mirror inside a plastic baggie, and I also put a layer of clear plastic tape over it so that the shards wouldn't fly everywhere. We'll get back to that in a second because I need to make a base for this mirror. There are many references to mirrors and multiple reflections throughout the film, and I'm pretty sure that they're doing that to kind of visually show us that Oliver has multiple sides to him, that he's got multiple, I don't want to say multiple personalities, but he kind of does. Like he is playing a role, and he even changes the way he dresses several times throughout the movie. So mirrors are used as some sort of device to let us know that there is more complexity going on with Oliver's character. And there is one scene that I am taking reference from where, in a moment of frustration, he punches a mirror, breaking it. And I don't know if it's the next day or a little bit later, he comes back and the mirror is just like completely repaired, like nothing had ever happened. And that's also just like a way to kind of, I guess, like as a storytelling device that, like, in this like atmosphere with this rich family, like the negative stuff is kind of like brushed aside as if it never happened and it's not talked about. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, so it's a very small part of the movie, but mirrors are a strong element, and I just thought it would be cool to make a broken mirror charm, so that's what we're doing. And I basically just am taking these shards that I got and I'm trying to arrange them the best I can onto this like rectangle. And I'm using the Lizette Gel Nails Bling It Gel. I picked up some, thank you to, I know Crystal for sure told me to pick them up, and there was another person that recommended it. And I'm grateful because I had a really good experience shopping from Lizette's website. The shipping was only $25, which is actually crazy cheap compared to literally anything else I ever try to order from the US. And it came really quickly. Everything was packaged so nice. So I think I will order more products from her website at some point. I'm really kicking myself for not getting a builder gel. Like that would have been a smart move. But yeah, so anyway, I've been testing out that Bling It gel, and we will test it a few more times over the next little bit. But back to this mirror. I am kind of just like marbling some brown and black. It's because I'm like running out of this modeling clay. I think I was running low on the brown, so I went heavier on the black. And this part was actually like way harder to do than I expected. I had such a hard time because the edges were so not even, but then I was like trying to make it all super even and like square. And at this point, I've filed it down and I've kind of given up and I'm just painting it. But like the next day, I didn't film it, but I go in more and I file it and I refine it even further. So even though you're going to see an almost finished product here, I do more refinement later, which you will see at the end. Okay, we are almost there. 4 nails down, 1 to go. Usually I start at the pinky and end with the thumb, so I'm going kind of backwards this time, but the pinky is a very straightforward design. I'm just using the oak leaf embroidered pattern on his costume, and it's a beautiful embroidered jacket, and I was really excited to paint this on here, and like, Honestly, I probably could have just done a whole nail set using this type of pattern, but why, like I said earlier, why do that when we could make every nail special with a different tone too? You know, the tone of this movie changes quite a bit, so I'm going to say that that's why the tone of each nail is different too. Bleh. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is the 2000s music. So I mentioned earlier the fashion is so 2006. And the music is also like perfect, just songs from that time. I've heard that they're not like perfectly precise in terms of when the movie takes place, but whatever. I love all the music and I have been rocking a bunch of the songs from it. I like made my own playlist on iTunes and yeah, the music is so dope. And especially the Murder on the Dance Floor song, which I hope you have all heard. It's so freaking catchy. It plays over the end scene of the movie, and it literally revived the woman's career. Sophie Ellis Bexler, I think her name is. She has like, oh my God, last time I checked, she had hundreds of millions of views on that music video, which is an old song, right? Even though I'd never heard it before. But I've been listening to it nonstop. And I think that she just pulled another record deal too, because there's so much interest in her all of a sudden. So I love that this random music artist got such a boost from this movie. And the song is so perfect at the end. Honestly, the ending of this movie is probably my favorite ending of any movie ever, and I know some people are going to hate it, but I think that it really helps bring the dark tone because things do get pretty dark near the end. And then the movie comes back and reminds us that this is a satire, that there is an element of fun and comedy to everything, even though there are these dark and disturbing elements. So I do like that the movie rounds us out and we do end on a relatively fun and happy note. And yeah, kudos to Barry Keoghan for that last scene. It is like he is naked for the end of the movie. And he said he wasn't like so nervous about being naked, but he was pretty nervous about the dancing, but he fucking killed it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about the Saltburn movie. Please let me know what you think about the movie in the comments section below, and let's take a look at this nail set. All right, I'm creeping in like Oliver Quick over here. So here's the finished Saltburn set. So this set is a lot to me. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, but that happens to me a lot when I spend a lot of time making something. Hopefully, if you've seen Saltburn, these nails are giving you Saltburn vibes. And it was a very like creatively challenging set for me, like doing all that line work, painting, the dirty bathwater nail, the broken mirror was super fun. So lots of creative challenges, and I hope that you all enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.